Good morning, guys. It's Grace. Today I am with BC, as always, and I have Delilah right here. She's that little fuzzy thing right there. She's sleeping. See? Hi, baby. Hi, baby. Yeah. Anyways, as if you saw my last video, you should know what this video is about. It is about the holiday that we have tomorrow. February 2nd is Groundhog's Day. And so I'm gonna give you a little backstory on Groundhog's Day for this video. I'd like to point out that everything I'm telling you guys, I just learned today. So this is new information to me as well. But I think it's good to know, because I never knew when Groundhog's Day was until recently. If you asked me what day it was, I wouldn't even be able to tell you what time of year it was. I had no idea. Let alone, I just knew something about a shadow had to do with whether we had more winter or not. That's all I knew. Which is pretty much the the general idea. There's not much more to it than that, but I didn't know any specifics or anything like that. So now I'm here to tell you about them so that not only can I be educated, but so can you guys. So if anybody asks, you can say, well, now I know. So every February 2nd, there is a groundhog named Punxsutawney Phil who comes out of hibernation, and if he sees his shadow, we will have 6 more weeks of winter, and if he doesn't see his shadow, then spring is said to be like right around the corner, which in my opinion doesn't make much sense, because if he sees his shadow, that means the sun's out, and if the sun's out, you would think it's going to get warmer outside, and if he doesn't see his shadow, the sun isn't out, or he's in the shade or something, and you would think maybe it's going to stay cold for a little bit longer. So it's a little backwards to me, but anyways, it takes place in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, and it has since 1887. That's when the holiday kind of started, but I'll get into that more at the end. So Punxsutawney Phil is actually only right about 64.4% of the time. So it's a little odd that we would kind of rely on him to tell us what's going to happen, but in reality they're just predictions. They're predictions that aren't really based on fact or anything. So like I said, this is just a general thing. I don't know exactly the science behind it, if there is any, but from what I understand, there doesn't seem to be any. So anyways, in the past, many different people have done lots of different things to predict the weather. During the Christian holiday Candlemas, I don't know if I pronounced that right, sorry if I didn't, they would receive candles blessed by clergymen, and if the skies were cloudy, that meant warm weather was coming, and if the sun was out, then it meant cold weather was gonna be here longer, which is also backwards in my opinion, but I'm not gonna argue with history, right? In Europe, they observed the animals that hibernated, like bears and stuff, to see when they were coming out of their dens, which in my opinion makes a lot of sense, because the animals that hibernate for the winter, so when they come out, you would assume winter is probably coming to an end. So that makes a lot of sense. In Germany, they used badgers, which leads into Groundhog Day, because the Germans came to Pennsylvania and there wasn't an abundance of badgers in Pennsylvania. The easiest hibernating animal to find was the groundhog, hence why we use a groundhog. I don't know why, this is where my information kind of doesn't have anything to back it up. I don't know why Germans used badgers. So maybe they had scientific reasoning for using badgers to predict all this, but I personally don't know it, and I personally can't think of anything scientific that could be used to predict, I can't think of anything scientific that could back up using a badger to predict when winter will end. Especially when the groundhog that we use is only right 64% of the time, which is more often than not, I'll give him that, but still. So anyways, that's why we started using groundhogs. In 1887, like I said, when the holiday kind of started, a newspaper editor started spreading around the idea that a specific groundhog named Punxsutawney Phil was very... Stop. Sorry. Last time BC did that, he peed on my bed in one of my other videos, so I don't want him to pee on my bed right now. Anyways, a newspaper editor started spreading around the idea that a specific groundhog named Punxsutawney Phil was very meteorologically, he was a meteorological wonder, is what the article said. And eventually the entire country kind of got in on it, and that's how the holiday started. In 2017, however, Phil saw his shadow, which meant we were supposed to have 6 more weeks of winter, and it ended up being the second warmest February on record. And last year he saw a shadow, meaning we were supposed to have 6 more weeks of winter last year also, and the month ended up having new record high temperatures, and some southern towns had rain. So the last couple years, Punxsutawney Phil has not been correct about his predictions, but maybe this year will be better for him. Hopefully he's not wrong 3 years in a row. Also, I forgot to mention that I got all my information from an article, you guessed it, Mental Floss, like always, and I'll link to that in the description. I covered everything but maybe 1 or 2 paragraphs that were in there, so if you want to read those, I highly recommend doing that. Don't just support YouTubers, support the sources that the YouTubers get their information from. Also, actually I think that's it. I don't have anything else to say. So yeah, tomorrow's Groundhog Day. Be sure to watch the news and figure out what Phil has decided the weather will be like, if he decides to, or if he happens to see a shadow or not. I think it'll be on the news. My mom said she saw it last year, so that's probably how it's going to be this year. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. If you have any other information to add about Groundhog's Day that I didn't mention, feel free to comment that below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Here's Koya. Gerald. I love you. I love you so much.